Now, I read something really interesting actually today from Mel Robbins. As you scroll on Instagram, she has some amazing drop-ins. And one of the things that I made sure I popped in today's presentation, especially, is one of the things that she talked about, which was we often get to the end of the year, like we are now, ready to plan 2026, but we forget to be conscious of everything that we've already done. And we tend to focus more on the things that we have potentially achieved only, or the bad things that have happened, and not taken the lessons forward with us. So we're going to make sure that we do that today, especially because we've had some amazing years. And I know from some of the people I've spoken to, um, especially today, there's some great things that you've all achieved that I think is really important to reflect on. And some of the things that are challenges are data of all the things that we want to bring into 2026. So we're going to definitely do that today. I call this the performance-led year. And the reason I call it this is because I want to make sure that we set up the year from within ourselves. So rather than just setting the external goals and using our work, our revenue, our goals, our tangible items as self-worth, I want us to build everything from within ourselves first and build the life we want, and then bring business along with us. Okay. So the first thing I want us to think about is that simple goal setting and vision planning never work because they're actually designed incorrectly. They're all about the tangible, they're all about the things we want to achieve, the money we want to make, and they're less about the version of ourselves that we want to become. So one of the things I want us to do today is design the person we want, design the life we want, and we're going to build out a solid master plan to execute it calmly. Alrighty. So before we do get in things, I want to know where you are right now. So throughout today, I want you to write down as much as you possibly can, take some notes, and I want us to implement it. And there's three questions I want us to kick off with. The first one is I want you to reflect on this year, and if you need some help, have a look at your phone at your photos. What is it that you had done this year that really lit you up? For me, I am so lit up for the fact that I spent some time in Paris. It was like a dream for me. But other things that have lit me up are really, really precious moments that I got to watch with my son. I go through my phone and I have so many adventures with him. I have screenshots from, I just got another article published today, which was so exciting. I got paid to be published with Mamma Mia. That is something that lit me up this year. Those are things that I want to do more of coming into 2026. And I'm going to use that as data, as the things that I want to bring more into. I want to bring more adventures. I want to bring more travel. I want to bring more writing. I want to have more publications. The things that drained you this year. These are really important to remember as well, because they're the things that we want to make sure we let go of. We don't want to forget about them, that they never happened. We first want to get really honest with ourselves to go, this is what we get to celebrate. These are the things that happened this year. What did we learn from them? And what are we taking forward into the new version of ourselves? So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to answer these and some of the learnings as well, because the person that you are this year, I want you to have some gratitude to, because she's helped you get to, or he has got you to the next version, which we get to reflect on this time next year. Things that have drained me, for example, to give you some ideas. I went through separation. This was the year of shedding for me, and there were a lot of things that have drained. The lessons that I have taken from that is I now pick my battles, especially when it comes to co-parenting and parenting, when it comes to clients and customers, when it comes to people that send you DM because they don't like that you're selling to them. And the lessons I get to take forward to next year. I just get to be bolder and care less. Bit more careless. Would love to hear from you guys, whether it's jumping off mute or in the chat. What's something that lit you up this year? I want to hear some of the most amazing things that you got to achieve, big or small.
So Tash,
Hey, Lou.
I went to Japan this year and I hiked the back of the Shimari Shrine. And so that was just absolutely freaking brilliant.
That's amazing.
It was the best ever. So
Wow.
I love doing things like that and traveling and then meeting new friends and people and stuff. So that was probably my absolute highlight of this year. And then the second is that my second poetry book is with my editor at the moment. So we're almost there. We're getting there. So that's
That's so
me.
exciting.
Mm.
Yay. Thank you so much for sharing. So lots of travel coming into this year. Your manuscript is with your editor. Yeah. I know Brooke mentioned that spending some really beautiful time with Daisy as well. Does anyone want to know, want to hear from things that drained them that they can take as lessons next year? Anyone to share?
I was going to say, I'm just half eating, so I apologize. I turned my camera off. But I'm sick of justifying my prices. Effort.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm very
Yeah.
annoyed by that.
So what are we going to do for next year for learning?
Ignore them and find someone else.
That's right. Yep. And it's interesting. I jumped off a call with my business coach just before we jumped in today, and we were very much talking about pricing. And often what she says is that she finds someone else that will pay that, and then as soon as she gets a yes, she increases it again because she's already got evidence now that someone will pay for it, which is just amazing how she can go in with some bold confidence. And that's something I'm definitely taking in for next year. We're going to keep moving through some of these. But please definitely revisit this because I think it's really important to take some extra time later on to really, really reflect on the things that lit you up and the ones that drained you and the lessons that you can take forward. And just having a think and a moment, almost like a celebration of yourself for getting you to today, which is the 16th of December, because she's very different to last year. I know definitely for me, especially. Now, what we're building today is 6 layers in our session. The first one we're going to go through is the reset. Who it is that we need to become to be that next level of yourself this time next year. So we're going to talk about the identity expansions that we are going to put in for 2026 and the life anchors. So what is it that we can do next year that is a year defining moment that is not business, that is personal, that elevates you to that person that you want to become? And then also those life anchors that support that big one defining moment for you. We're going to bring through our capacity map, which is how to plan all of your year around the seasons of life that tend to come up and be really honest with that season. This is something I've definitely had to stomach myself, that the season of life I am as a solo mum, working, business, in life, responsibilities, my capacity looks very different to what it looked like before I had my son, before I became a solo mum. It's probably going to look different next year as I step into the new version of myself. We're going to bring through our revenue map. So what is it that we want to earn as that next level person? And we're going to break them down into smaller goals for you and also anchors to make sure it's sustainable, not just a huge hustle period. Which brings us to momentum. What are the small 8-week rhythms that we can build? So we split the year into 8-week rhythms, so every 2 months, so that we can have some really solid focus time and rest time. And means that we can match things like us women who have cycles so that we have time to get through some of our low times and high times. And also the non-negotiables in our calendar, because we lock in all of the non-negotiables first so that we can then enjoy ourselves, have less decision fatigue, more energy, and we're able to achieve all the things that we want in life and then business second. Okay. So the difference between most goal setting and visions is that we try and build everything around business and we forget about life, and life tends to suffer first. So we're doing it in reverse. So the first thing I want us to do is to start with a bit of a reset. We want to regulate before we plan anything new. So I want you to take a moment and answer these 3 questions for me. What version of you am I no longer available to be next year? I want you to think about that person that you want to become. Who does she need to be? Who does she need to let go of? What kind of things do you need to let go of to be able to be that person? So, for example, for me, I'm definitely not going to be as reactive. That's not the person I need to be for what I'm stepping into. I need to let go of her this year. over availability, always on, and pushing through the hard times when energy is really low. So I need to let go of those things. The second one for high performance, what does that look like in your body for next year? The season that I'm in, for example, is with a 3-year-old that still gets up in the night. So sleep's really important. I have realized over the last year that I operate terribly without sleep. So I need to bring forth into my weeks, my days, my seasons that I have my son Archie, that there's definitely sleep involved, and that is okay as the season I'm in. Nervous system safety as we take bigger leaps. Is that something that's important to you and your body? Consistency, slower steps, daily rhythms that might seem boring, but are compounding throughout the year. And then the last one is, what does burnout look like before it happens to you? How do you know that you are at your capacity limits? Not just comfort, not comfort zone, capacity limits. So for example, for mine, I tend to overthink things. I'm avoidant, irritable, decision fatigue, reactive. They're signs for me that I'm starting to get to my burnout limit and I need to reassess my capacity. By knowing these 3 for yourselves, especially the capacity limit, means that we can build it into the plan. We can build what we do every single day, week, month, 3 months, 6 months with capacity in mind. Okay. And then we also need to have a look at what non-negotiables, red flags, and we build our own personal operating standards. Now, when we talk about personal operating standards, I want you to remember it like a job description. If you were to write yourself a job description for the person you need to become for next year, to make next year the biggest and best life and business year of your existence, what standards do you need to have? And I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to reflect on some of these. And I would love to hear from you guys as well, whether in the chat, whether on camera and audio. What's something that you're wanting to let go of? Anyone like to share? Yeah, old versions of ourselves that we're holding on to. Yeah. Doing things like everyone else. Yes. Yep. Beautiful, guys. And what about high performance? What does that look like in your body? What do we need to look out for in burnout? All right, I'm going to give you one more minute, guys. Now, once you're doing your 3 questions, yeah, definitely sleep, strength, and fun. And yeah, I'm a bit the same as well, bro. Internalized, irritable, and resentful. And now I add some of my burnout list and my performance list into my non-negotiables as well and red flags. So when we're thinking about our capacity, as we're going to get into a little bit later, I now have a list of red flags, which are my burnout markers, on when I know I'm out of alignment, when I know that I'm overtired, I'm over hungry. We should know these things, but we tend to be in our head a lot more than our body. Maybe that's a red flag for you if you're in your head more than your body. And then we can pull ourselves back into self-care mode as well, because sometimes we forget as we're learning. And then the non-negotiables are very much around your performance as well in your body. What kind of things do you need to do on a consistent basis for you to do that? All right. Just going to check to make sure that no one else has popped in while we're here. Great. All right. I'm going to share with you for a moment our calendar so that you have a copy. Here it is. And I'm just going to pop it in the chat as well. I'll make sure it's in the school community. Just let me know if this link works, because this is going to help you for our next activity. All right. So one of the things I'm learning to do, and I really want you to start to implement in yourselves, is this next phase called the identity expansion. Now, I kind of got this idea from an author called Stephen Covey, and he talks about putting the big defining moments that you want in your life first into your year, planning the year out around it, and then sprinkling in the smaller things. Because the big defining moments are the ones that you look at the rest of your life, that you reflect on, that you achieved, that you get to 80 and look back and go, look at all the things that I got to do in my life, rather than look how much I worked. So, one of the things that help you grow into that person you need to become are things called identity expansion milestones. And they're non-business related. So, when we're doing this, I want you to think of the ones that are not business related. And we already shared a couple already when we reflected on this year. You had one this year, Louise, where you went and spent some time in Japan. My year defining moment very much was my breath work in Bali. And then I also went on to do Paris. I kind of did two really big defining moments this year. And it also changed how we see ourselves. So Paris for me showed me the evidence of the person I want to become, because that's the life I wanted. It reminded me of the love for travel. Bali for me helped wash away and shed all of the last year and integrate a new version of myself ready for next year. So I want you to have a think about what would be something that you could do this year that would expand your identity. That's not business. It could be, for those that are wanting to get back into health and well-being, a half marathon. Something really hard that you have to work towards for that year. So that when you look back, you can say, that's when I changed, in that moment when you cross the finish line. For these particular moments, you do need to have a finish line, because then you know the difference between you've done it versus not done it. It can't be a in-between little wishy-washy goal where I want to just be healthy or I want to get more fit. It's, you want to have some kind of milestone event experience. And you don't have to decide right this second on what that is. It can very much be later on. Thanks, Fiona. Brooks says, I really want to do a half Ironman, but we don't think we can achieve it next year. So what would be something that you could? Could you start with a marathon? Yeah. So thinking about your goal now for next, after this session, is maybe jumping and Googling what marathons are in your area, putting it maybe to the second half of next year. And then we're going to add it to that big calendar that we just shared in the chat. Because the identity expansion needs to have its place in your calendar. Write a book for you, Louise. Is that yours for next year? Yeah. So for yours, when do you know you have achieved it? Is it with the editor or is it published?
Pretty much published. I think it's because it can take so long in the edit stage.
Mm.
And so once it's published, I know it's done. It's like it's out in the world, and then it's like, okay, it's out in the world. Um,
Love that.
so yeah, I'm getting there.
So then for next year, is there a date that you can pop in the calendar as well for your Norway trip? Yeah.
Norway is October next year. I think it's the 26th. But there'll be at least a week prior to that.
Yep. Amazing. I had City to Surf originally in my calendar, which was the 9th of August for next year. My identity expansion, now that I've done my shedding, I've spent the year in nurturing the old version of what I needed. And now I'm ready to be a little bit more disruptive and bold and remind myself and build the evidence that I can do hard things. One of the things is City to Surf, but I also found they have karate up here. And I actually think I might, rather than running a City to Surf, I used to do karate when I was younger and rebuild myself back to the blue belt. So my year defining moment for next year is to get back to a blue belt karate and ready for brown belt so that I can be graded in that level. And it will also teach me how to do hard things because I need to show up and do lessons all the time. I have to put myself in sparring again, and I have to do things that are uncomfortable, which will build the evidence as well. Bridie, sleeping through the night with the kids. Remind me, how old are your kids?
5 and 1.5.
Are we talking about the 5-year-old sleeping through the night or the 1.5-year-old?
Both, sadly.
Yeah.
The 1.5 wakes up once or twice, and the 5-year-old likes to wake up to tell me that she's going to the bathroom and then go to the bathroom and then put her back to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Do
a
you
lot.
think because the next phase on this is going to be anchors, and I'm wondering if this might be a really good anchor for you that will go
Yes.
towards one of your bigger identity expansions. Do you have
Yes.
something that might be elevated above this, the person that you want to become, that you could pop in here, and then the kids sleeping through the night will be a nice anchor to support that?
Yeah, I'll have a think and see what I can come up with.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've had my son sleep through the night a handful of times. He's 3. And it's almost surprising. Sometimes it's like, oh, he hasn't woken up. And if anything, I probably sleep worse because I'm wondering if he's going to wake up. Anything else we want to share before we move on? Are we excited for some expansion for next year? Yes, so excited. Second phase for our expansion is our life anchors. Now, our life anchors are the things that will support your big one. So for me, for example, if I'm trying to get to brown belt in karate, what are the 4 to 6 anchors that I need to bring in to support the identity that I need to be to achieve that? So for me, my core is that I need more discipline and I want to build more evidence that I can do hard things so I can show up bigger and bolder and do more. Remembering this is only for our personal life as well. So the things that will support me is eating really well because I need to fuel the body because I'll be exercising quite a lot. Motherhood and family, making sure I'm able to show up for my son still whilst I'm doing all those things. So I may need to find ways to regulate myself a little bit more because I might be a little bit more fatigued after training. Things in travel as well. For me to be bigger and bolder, I want to make sure I can have fun and play so that I can enjoy life to sustain some of the times that I may not feel motivated to go to training, or I may feel really crappy after fatigue or recovery and things like that. And also, what are the learning and identity things that we need to bring in as well to help support that as well? So for me, it's relearning how to actually do certain karate moves. I'll have to go to lessons, obviously. I may need to do extra training outside of that. I might need to learn how to do extra training that supports the body I now have post children because it moves very differently to when I did it the last time. Yeah. And I may also need more recovery time now that I'm coming into perimenopause because it's very different to what it used to be. So what are the things that you could bring in that anchor and help support the person that you're wanting to become? So for you, Brooke, what kind of things will help you get to your half marathon that you can bring in? And who do you need to become to achieve that half marathon that you can bring in support to do that as well? And we'll chat to you soon, Bridie. That's fine. No worries at all. The best part about the anchors as well is they're like mini milestones along the way. So I set them in little sections throughout the year. And I want you to have a think about how you can do that as well. So if you're somebody that is gets stuck in life, gets into the hamster wheel, quite often we forget what we're working on. ADHD brain over here. All of our anchors also need to be in our calendar first. So if my milestone is October next year, I'm brown belt. That's when there's a grading. I then put in my calendar throughout the year, which is what you do on the big calendar, of all of the other things in our anchors along the way. Time with my son, his birthday, Easter, any travels that I'm going to be doing, any retreats that I want to go on. We want to put all our life into our calendar well before business goes in, because this supports everything we want to become. Now, this might take a little bit of time as well to kind of get through, do this properly. So I want you to take some time later on. You can watch the replay so that you can fill in these places, because there is a lot that I want to achieve next year and I want to be intentional with the time. But I also want to make sure that we don't overthink it as well and use that as an avoidant. Before we move on though, guys, any questions I can help you with? Amazing. No worries at all. All right. Does anyone want to share any of their anchors that they want to bring in? What kind of things do we want to pop in our calendar?
I beach walk, so I go every weekend, generally on a Sunday, and go for a walk because I've discovered that I can do 10 kilometers at the beach, but I can't even do 2 kilometers around home. So I have to drive 45 minutes to get to the beach, but it's worth it.
It's okay. You get a beautiful view at the same time. Soak up some sun. What about you, Brooke?
For me, it's fueling my body. And I'm like on that path now, but learning how to actually support my body now postpartum, because it's so different. It took me a long time to be able to actually recognize that it is different and that it needs different support. So yeah, I'm getting the support to do that now. But also the small memorable moments with family and like making sure that we've got that family time together, because running two businesses between the two parents, it's feels like a rat race sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, making sure that, and like I want to do some learning as well, but I don't know what else that looks like at the moment. So
Yeah, love that. It's interesting. We always forget some of those moments along the way, but our birthdays are the same every year. But yet we somehow forget, oh my God, it's the week before Christmas and we haven't done Christmas shopping. Oh my God, it's this person's birthday. We haven't organized something. And it's because if we don't put it in our calendar, it doesn't happen. It's just something that sits in the background. So I'm glad that you've kind of popped a couple of those through. Some of the things that I also found was very much the same with the body changing. There's a really good video I watched of an interview on the Diary of CEO. It's on YouTube, where he interviews these 3 or 4 women. I can't remember how many there were. And it was all about perimenopause and menopause and women's health and all sorts, and how the body works. Fascinating if you ever go watch it. And it was in those times that I actually realized I'm in perimenopause and the body changes so differently postpartum to that. It's almost like you get out of one thing and then you're back into another one. And so now when I go back through my calendar, I'm going to start tracking my cycle a little bit more effectively, because I now, as we're going to go into the next phase, I need to support the body very differently to what it used to be like, because my energy will cycle through in different ways. I now notice how impactful my later phase of my cycle is on energy and how much more energy I have at the start. And so anytime I find that I'm trying to burn the business down, it's generally because it's the week before the cycle is about to end. And it's really interesting that I started to notice that as well. And now building it into the plan is really, really important. So I'm just letting in Jody. Thanks for joining us, Jody. In the chat, Fiona, can you just pop the link back in again? I have a link to a calendar that we are using to do our goals today, or our plan today. You can watch the replay as well to catch up on some of the other elements, because we're going to continue through phase 3. So this is the part that I find one of the most important parts, because this is what makes us fall off. This is the stuff that people at the gym go at the 2nd or 3rd day of the January, and then they fall off in February because they forgot this section. And it's the part about capacity. We don't want to go hard and fast. We don't want to overestimate the capacity. And we want to be also gracious and comfortable with the fact that sometimes our capacity is a lot less than others. Me at the moment with a 3-year-old, my capacity is bigger than it used to be as a single person, because we somehow fit so much in, but it is a little bit more reduced as a solo mum. So I need to be okay and honest with myself of where is the line on comfort, not just comfort in that I'm too scared to step out my comfort circle, but where's the line in capacity, so that I can make sure that daily, weekly, quarterly, annually, when I have my son, when I don't have my son, when there's a lot of holiday period on, when we have a lot in work happening, where do we need to make some changes in our capacity and map it out? And we do this in various different ways. What season of life are we in is a really important question to ask ourselves, both in our body, our business, our relationships, and ourself. So for me, relationship being my son, the season of life in is he needs quite a lot of attention and care when he is home. And so for me, I know capacity wise, when I pick him up from daycare until he goes to bed, I have zero capacity for business, because my full attention is on that relationship. However, I may be able to bring in a couple of hours when he goes to bed for business if my capacity allows it. Or maybe I do it first thing in the morning. And then we bring in other ways to support that as well. So extra daycare for me is something I've implemented so that I can do more business stuff and he's not impacted. I'm also not split between decision making, between being a parent and also running business and running coaching calls. Relationships in a partner, low capacity right now, just the season of life I'm in. So I want to focus more on business, body, self, and my son, less in a partner right this second. And that's okay, because that's just the season I'm in. That might change in a year, and that's fine. For where I want the business to go, and this might be great for you guys to start bringing more business into our plan now, is what do you want it to look like this time next year? Because if it's significantly different to now, we need to shift some of our capacity to ensure that we do some of those tasks in the business every single day, week, quarter, annually. So part of our capacity is we need to allocate time to selling, to prospecting, to growing, to marketing, to delivering some of our client work. All right. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Are you like me that tends to overestimate what we have in our capacity jar? Yeah, and then we kind of spill out the top and burn out and find ourselves in all sorts that we just burn things to the ground and want to give up. Yeah. Yeah, me too. And that's why this one's really important. So when we're thinking about this on our big scale map of our calendar, we want to have some things in there that we put in to support everything else in capacity. We want to make sure we have a list of our red flags and we schedule rest. Rest is another milestone that goes in our calendar before we put business. Because if you're finding that your capacity is quite limited, we haven't got enough rest. Okay. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes and then we will move on to our next phase. And we're starting to get really excited. This is my favorite part. What questions do we have so far for those that are here? Before we move on to our next one, it's interesting that I again had this chat with my business coach before. I was telling her a little bit about us running through some capacity mapping together. And she made the comment about how she actually thinks my capacity is a lot bigger than what we think. And especially mums in general, people that have gone through seasons of life, because my 20-year-old self thought we were so busy. We had so much going on. And then we had children and we got responsibilities and demanding jobs. And it's almost like that window of tolerance. You know how the window of tolerance tends to expand the more evidence we have? Same with our capacity. So 6 months ago, I thought I was at zero capacity for everything. And it was almost related to that window of tolerance. And so when you're thinking about what you can do, I want you to think about it like your window of tolerance as well. Your window of tolerance can expand on either side. You just want to make sure it doesn't expand all the way up to hyper arousal where you overestimate. But we can actually do a lot more than what we think. And sometimes it's evidence that will get us there and trialing it like this. All right. This is where we get to bring some more business in. So we're going to pull up our sleeves. And what we're going to do is build this in a way that supports our nervous system. We want to look at our revenue through 4 lenses. We want to look at monthly. We want to look at the number of clients. We want to look at the delivery intensity. So intensity being sessions, how close together, how hard and fast, how hands-off we're being, and also recovery days in there. Because most people in our community are coaches or provide some kind of one-on-one support. And we do need some recovery from that because it can be quite exhausting. Yeah. So making sure we have that in our map as well. We want to make sure that we also, if we are wanting to increase our revenue, we need to also simplify a few things because we tend to get a little bit messy along the way. So do we need to get really, really clear on our offers and reduce them so that we potentially only have 1 or 2? Do we need to go through and cull all the platforms we're using? We've got too many things in the back. Do we need to potentially look at our delivery? Are we giving them too much time and we're actually stressing about it because it's almost like a bill that we haven't paid, it's sitting on the fridge? And we're delaying delivery when it could be done a lot quicker? And do we need to have better boundaries? So something that we're doing, which I'm really excited about in our school community, is that we've just popped in our ChatGPT stack, which is going to very much help simplify a lot of these things, especially when we get to the marketing part. But I would love for you to really think big of what you want this year to look like. Thinking about where you are first. What is your current monthly? What is your current clients? What is your current intensity? And do we have 0 recovery days right now? Most people do. And what is it that we want it to be in 12 months' time? If you had the best year of your life, what would that look like? Who would love to share one of their four lenses? Where do we want our revenue to be or our clients to be this time next year? Hey,
With
Brooke.
the delivery intensity, what's that again? Sorry.
Yeah, so it could be for my one-on-one coaching times, I may have a 12-week delivery period of my coaching sessions that I want to reduce down to 6.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because then it means that when we leave things too open, it's almost like we've popped the bill in the fridge and we walk past it every single day and we're not paying it, so it keeps a tab open. We
Yeah.
want to kind of close a little bit sooner. So you're still
Yeah.
getting the impact, but you're just wanting to pull the intensity in.
Okay. Thank
Might be a
you.
bit, that's okay. For my guys so there's a couple of people in our community that are in social media and they look after projects. The intensity for them may be to reduce their delivery date as well on their deliverables, or it might be increasing it. Maybe they've given themselves less time. I know I had a coaching call today where 2 weeks delivery for assets for socials is really, really tight, and they may extend it an extra week to make sure that they give them 3 weeks to be able to service those clients. For you, Louise, it could be how often you provide sessions. How often do you get the best results for them? But also how often for you to get the best results for yourself in nervous system and cash flow.
It's really interesting because like my client numbers have been less than half, probably a third of what they have been in previous years. So for me, I just would love more clients because I thrive when I'm busy, but I also schedule in rest. So I have rest every weekend. So I don't work weekends
Great.
and I only work 4 days a week. So
Yeah.
with contact days, but it's like I have no problems working 6 days a week because I have the capacity to do multiple things and be able to carry those multiple strands that I do. So that's not my biggest problem. And it's like, I find it really hard to have so much structure in boxes like this because I now feel like my flexibility is reduced dramatically, and I'm one that can flip on a dime and go and do something different. But I have the ability to do so. That's the thing. So I have to really balance this out so I have a lot more movement than such a tight structure because I feel the resistance already with just what we've done so far. So, and it's like, and if I get too much resistance, I won't do it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no,
Yeah.
too hard. It's too hard to have it such tightly scheduled and not having that ability to pivot every single time I need to pivot.
Interesting. What kind of things do you think you would need to pivot that makes this resistant?
Um, the amount of coloring in boxes of having to put stuff in, it's challenging, very
Yeah.
challenging. I schedule fairly fit in my diary. Like my Mondays is my business day. So Mondays is the day I get everything that I want done.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I don't do it at any other day.
So then for this time next year,
mm,
if we continue doing the same thing we're doing right now, do you think you'll be the same person or a different person?
well, I know that already this year I'm a different person than I was at the start of the year. And I know at the end of next year I'll be a different person to what I am now because I continually grow because I do a lot of work on myself.
Beautiful.
And that's the thing. But I've also learned that I'm resting a lot more now than I've ever done too in my life. I've noticed that I've had to really set that so that my Sundays are my rest day. Even if I walk 10Ks, it's a rest day for me because I'm in an environment that I find extremely restful and I'm on my own and I get to unwind and really have a lot of downtime in that space. And then when I go on holidays, as much as they're restful, I don't stop either. But it is very restful for me.
Great. So
It's
at the moment, it sounds like you're in a season of resting.
Well, I always need to be in some form of resting because I'm older than all of you lot. So I'm in a very different life phase. And so I've been where Brooke is, I've been where you are, and it's very different when you're post menopause. And I've been post menopause for quite a while now. And you just view life differently. But at the same time, I'm still doing the work. And
Yeah.
because I did a class over the weekend, and so I actually had to write out what my statement about myself was, which is kind of funny. But this is the statement of who I want to become. And so when I struggle with something, I read this because this is who I need to be. So that is in itself inspiring enough to get me to do what I need to do on that day. So yeah.
Yeah. No, that's perfect because what I want you to think about for next year is the person that you're wanting to become. What kind of activities does she need to do to be able to get there? And if it's the case that you're wanting to grow, and maybe the season of life you are in is more rest and more personal growth for next year, and less of the revenue growth, then you're exactly on the path, right?
It's revenue growth.
Right. And so if it's the revenue growth, and I know for the experience that I've had over the last couple of months being back in a day job, I have so much resistance to that. And it's highlighting all the things I don't want to do. But it's also having a bit of shadow work come out that I'm noticing a little bit more as well. And it's purely because there's almost like this little 2-year-old Tash having a bit of a tantrum of responsibility of myself because there's activities in that I don't want to do. And that's why I thought this might be a really good reflection for yourself because part of the I think the boxing in, I think, is what you were talking about,
Yeah.
is not necessarily boxing you into you have to every single day show up and do a particular activity. What we're doing is popping in our calendar the things you want to achieve.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm curious to know, is it that you have a lot of pressure on yourself to achieve them
Oh,
rather than putting the resistance?
I have a lot of I have extremely high standards of myself, and
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it because but I can also end up down a rabbit hole. So
Yeah.
I do like I said, Monday's business day, so generally it'd be like it's my accounting gets done. It's like I'm looking at what's happening for the week, what social media do I need to have done, then going in and getting my social media all set and ready, then planning all that. And so I do it. It's just sometimes I could be so deep in what I'm doing, I don't realize it's 7:30 at night because I'm so into what I'm doing. And if I stop, I'll lose everything, the downloads that are coming through that need to be done. And so to be done. You don't know what it's
Yeah.
like when it disappears on you and you just go, oh, I lost that strand of crap. Okay, now what? And have to wait. So yeah.
So building a bit of flexibility in here might be really important to you to build that
Very
capacity
much
and evidence along the way.
Very much so. I need
Yeah.
that flexibility. This is
Cool.
why, because I do multiple things in a day, like I see multiple different types of clients and I do different types of things. And I love my days where I can massage, I can do kinesiology, I can do coaching, I can do naturopath. If I have a day that is all massage, I'm full batshit crazy, even though I love what I do. So
There's less variety.
I need the variety. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's what I really need to have. And that's what I mean. I don't have enough clients because it's really dramatically decreased over the last 12 months. So, but I don't want just one type of client. I want
That's
multiple
okay.
clients.
Yeah. So then bringing in some flexibility into the structure. If we
Yes.
can have a bit of freedom and a little bit of structure, we'll be able to
Yes.
get the best of both worlds.
Yes.
Yeah. Great.
That would be good.
All right.
Thank you.
That's okay. That's no worries at all. And I can appreciate the boxed in feeling because I definitely feel like that a lot. And I have to sit back and go, is this teaching me something on and highlighting the things that I don't want is an alignment thing? Or am I resistant because it's potentially just something I don't like to do? And I've been so used to doing all the things that I want to do and enjoy that lights me up. And now I'm being shown and highlighted the responsibilities that I should be doing because that's what makes more money. And for me to be that person, and I'm sure you can relate, for me to be back in Paris in 12 months and hitting those milestones. Oh, hello. We need to do a couple of things that are sometimes we're not happy about. All right. Now, phase 5 is all about simplified success engine. My New Zealand's coming out. Now, this is actually module 1 in our school community, if those of you that have been. And the idea behind this is that we don't want to try and fix everything if it's not broken. But what we want to do is go back and build the foundations in a way that supports the big vision. So as an example, in our Simplified Success Engine, which is the first module, it's all foundational. And I've also now popped in, Fiona's done some really great videos for us on Loom for our ChatGPT stacks, which is now in the school community, so that we can start getting really, really simple with some of our marketing, which will be our next phase that I'll be getting released shortly. So we don't want to build all 7 of our phases, which is foundations, marketing, sales, delivery, momentum, systems, and scale. However, next year, we want to focus on one primary phase that we need to focus on to get to that next level identity. We also want to have a secondary one that supports it, and then everything else is maintained. And we pop that in our 8-week structures. So every 8 weeks, you want to have a cycle where you can work on one phase only during that cycle, and then you have a rest period and then reset. Because what we find is that people get really excited and then disempowered after about 8 weeks, and then they lose momentum. So we want to recreate momentum every 8 weeks. So January, February, as an example, would be 1 week, 8-week cycle, where we focus on that primary phase of building those foundations, building our custom GPTs, making sure that we're really clear on our messaging and our offers, creating some really, really effective marketing that supports the person that you are in the business that you're building, so that our customers that want to work with us know exactly who we are. And so that would be what we would focus on during that phase to get really good at building those foundations. The other part that's really cool is that once we build it, it's rinse and repeat. So once we know exactly who you are, what you represent, and the impact you want to make, you then get to repeat it in our marketing over and over because we've built it once in some of our knowledge bases, which is going to be in that phase as well. So if you haven't already jumped into school and jumped in that section, there's knowledge base workbooks that will help you build out your story banks, which is exactly all the stories that you have had in your life, in your business, in various experiences that you can then draw from to create content around and write about. It will get plugged into your custom GPTs. There are also ones that will help you with your ideal offers. It will help you with some of your pricing that we're installing as well, and your messaging as well, a little bit about you, your whys, all of that. Okay. And then if you want some feedback on those books, definitely jump in and prop them into school, because then I can help you get through that as well. So I want you to ask yourself this question. What phase am I reinforcing this year? What is it, the one thing that you need to build in your business right now as your primary phase of focus for this year to be that next person? For me, I need to simplify, massively simplify, because that matches my capacity. I need to automate as much as I possibly can if it can be automated. Hence why this ChatGPT was like the thing that I needed the most in my life. And it is amazing. I'm so excited. My secondary phase is marketing. Because for me, leveraging automations and custom GPTs means my marketing is so much easier. It flows. So I'm now focusing and creating a phase that allows me to create marketing simply and build the foundation simply. So I almost have less to do in the business. Yes, and foundationally everywhere. Yeah, absolutely, Brooke. I found this actually at home as well. I'm doing something called closing the loop, which I'm really resistant to, Louise. Really resistant to. ADHD brain, and also I just don't want to, right?
I get you. I really do. Like
Oh,
my book, I've sat on that for 2 years. And
mm,
it was like, no, it's time now. Like
yep,
out of the blue, bang. And it's like, okay, so let's get this done. But open loops, like I have a few, I'm slowly starting to close them. But over the last month, I want to burn my business down
yeah,
in the last month. And it's like, no, so I've been working on new stuff as well. And I have my human design prompt that will go into the chat GPT because I have it already. I've got a chat
great.
GPT that is my complete human design chart for me.
What's your human design, Louise?
I'm a manifesting generator. Haven't you figured that out yet?
I thought so. But tell me more.
I'm a 5-1, so I'm a teacher learner. So I learn, I teach.
Yeah.
I'm the magician caregiver. So I'm also the problem
Mm.
solver. So I see what people don't see, which is different to a projector. So they can see the missing pieces, whereas I can actually see what needs to be done, um, especially around health and wellness and stuff. And the other stuff, not necessarily, but in my field, definitely, because that's why people come to me. But it also comes with a projection field that people will assume that I will fix them in the way they want me to fix them, not in the way that I can see that needs to be done. So
Yeah, interesting. Yeah,
it carries a lot.
that's
So
some good reflection.
yeah, and I'm right. So I'm with chat's help and with this, I'm rewriting stuff as well. So I'm rewriting my website that I just want to burn down at the moment because I hate it. Um, like when I said shedding, I didn't realize it was going to get this bad. It's really interesting, and so it's like, to have another 5 grand to build a whole new website at the moment.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah,
it's nice to know what that looks like for you as well to see where that fits into everything.
and
Because I noticed that we as manifesting generators, I'm one as well.
yeah, I know.
I'm a feeler.
Yes,
It has to feel good for me to feel like it's working in a lines, and then it feels good. I go a million miles an hour.
yes, me too.
Um, yep. But I also find that there's a level of avoidance in there that we will tend to hyper focus on all the tasks that feel good and light us up, and they're not the ones that move things forward. And
Oh,
so that's why
yes,
I'm so resistant to selling and sales and showing up and doing the things that don't feel good because the rejection feels terrible
yes,
or the no's feel terrible
yeah.
because it's, yeah, hitting into the feels. But it also doesn't make us money as well.
No, and that's the problem. So I agree with that. I like doing things that feel good, but I also
Mm,
do the things that I don't like doing because I've been in business long enough that I know that I have to do that. Like
hmm.
I've been in business for myself since I was 18 years old. So,
Yeah.
and I've had
Yeah.
two main business types. So I know that you've got to get shit done. You just have to.
Hmm.
There's that nobody else is going to do it for you. There are no saviors. There are nothing. You are it.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so I know that, and that's why I structure that as well with just in what I need to do. And hence though still the ADH stuff gets me and I still end up rabbit holing about what I need to do because it needs to be perfect,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
which is kind of funny, but yeah.
And I also notice as a manifesting generator out there, we avoid the consequence.
Yeah,
Um,
okay.
so something that I notice is that we focus heavily on the how. We're a momentum how person. We get
Yes,
in there, we get why, we know the what, we're pretty good with that. It's the how. The consequence part of not doing something is something that we are unfamiliar with and we avoid almost like accepting. So it's like we have to remind ourselves on what that looks like. So
yeah,
for me, for example, don't like doing certain tasks, but I have to tell and remind myself and have a visual of if I don't do these things, that vision I have for next year being in Paris is not going to happen. So I have to do the smaller things that I'm resistant to be able to get there. And that's
Yeah,
definitely something I'm learning because otherwise we'll just focus on, but I'm moving forward because I've created
that's right.
this 10-page guide.
I just did a
That doesn't
16
make me
page
money.
one. It's like, I know that well. Create mode.
Yeah. Create mode because it feels good, right?
Create mode is
But yeah,
fun. Yes.
but that's also why, at our 8-week phases as well, there's a couple of elements in there that I always say pop in a couple of things that are a little bit resistant to, but make some big moves in the business.
Yeah.
So it's only on short bursts because then it's over very quickly. We don't want to spend 6 months doing something really hard and hustling because we're not going to sustain it. So if there's 2 weeks in there that we're doing something that we're like, oh, like selling, for example, 2 weeks of selling, we can do. 6 months
Yeah.
of selling might be really, really hard if that's the only thing we're doing, right? So it's in cycles.
Yeah. Totally understand that one.
Yeah.
So because I had to do a statement of my identity statement for the woman I want to be. And so I have to read this every single day, and it's in a prominent place. So I see it everywhere. And it's really interesting because my coach, she just goes, well, can we stop making it about gains, about what it is you want to fucking achieve, and start making about who do you want to actually be? And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize they were two different things.
Yeah.
Because I thought, okay, well, if I'm gaining this is what I want, but not realizing it's not who I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a really big learning that I found over the weekend as well.
And I think that comes back to closing the loop
Mm.
because the person I want to be closes the loops, returns the dishes and washes them and packs them away. A small thing, right?
No, I totally get that. Yeah.
Um, my son took off his shoes and there's sand on the floor. The person I want to be, who achieves all those things that we're building, gets the damn broom up and picks it up and puts it outside when it happens. Because that will then follow on to business. Because if it doesn't, the problem sits there and we do
Mm.
nothing and we avoid it. So if we avoid things at home and keep loops open, we'll do the same thing in business, right?
Yeah, I get that. Do you want me to read my identity
Yeah,
statement, because
I would love to hear it.
it's not what you think it's going to be.
Oh,
All right.
okay. I'm excited.
So I, Louise Curran, and am an amazing, healthy, vibrant, wonderful, resourceful, fucking amazing billionaire woman who writes fucking deep, raw, thought-provoking love poetry, who creates change, enhances lives, spreads love and joy, and makes massive difference in the world. I'm a rainbow sparkling dragonfly sharing my love and light out into the world.
You know what's really interesting?
I told you it was different.
You think it's different, but I don't.
Oh, really? This
And
is
neither
me.
does Brooke.
Yeah, this is me.
Yeah.
And it's and going from, like, my previous one was just gains. It's what I was gaining. And then after the weekend's class, it was like, let's say, it's about what do you want to do that you can pick up and you go, what are you creating in the world? Who do you have to be? And it was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So yeah.
I'm excited for you.
So yeah, so I have to run everything through that. It's like, is that making
Yeah.
me become, is that me being this person?
Yeah. Love that.
So
What about you, Brooke? Who do you want to be?
Not sure. Um, I want to be completely grounded and present in the small moments. Because the small moments are the ones that we get quite often. So I want to give them the energy that they deserve.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I've got for now.
Something that I did, an activity I did last year was I had a jar, and anytime I had a really beautiful small moment, I wrote it on a bit of paper and put it in the jar. And then at the end of the year, you got to see all of the small moments that you had got to experience.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then you keep them, right? And you can look back and you can pop them in scrapbooks with their art. Yeah, like photos, like technology's come such a long way to do those things, but yeah, love that for you. My person is someone that is fearless and takes action and is disciplined and bold. And that used to be me very many years ago before I learned what consequence was in the cops. I made a huge amount of bold action. Whereas these days, I think going through a couple of seasons, I started to doubt myself. And so coming into next year, I want to be that person that closes all the loops because she's disciplined and does that. And she does what she says she's going to do and follows through and takes big leaps and hesitates because it's new, but doesn't stop her from doing it, right? So this time next year, it will be that I achieved all the things that I wanted because I became that person that did all those things as well. Awesome. All right. Do we still have Jody? All right, we'll move on. All right, team. We're coming into the last little bit. Now, we talked a little bit about the 8-week cycles. This is how we build momentum. And unfortunately, to our ADHDers and our manifesting generators, boring businesses outperform chaotic ones. And because we are so used to being in that hyper arousal as ADHDers, we're finding that we chase the high, especially manifesting generators as well. We want to make sure that we're not replacing the high feelings of excitement and trying to burn our business down because it's adding to the drama. I found that I'm a bit of a drama seeker this year, and I didn't realize until I wasn't around the drama all the time. I found this in the separation of my husband too, that we tend to create drama when we're in close proximity with each other because that's what we know. That's what we did. And that's not what I want for my business. So I want to make sure that I build a bloody boring business. And not boring that I want to get rid of it, but what I mean is that it is really good and in a rhythm. So as part of what I want you to think about is every 8 weeks, I want you to run it in cycles. And this is what we're doing with our marketing drop, which is also coming into our community as well in school. We will have our 6-week focus, and then we're going to have our 2-week reset along the way. So our marketing will match our 8 weeks. It will have things in there like trust building in our marketing, which builds momentum, builds trust with our audience, is all about connection with our people. We'll go through a phase of selling, which is our sprint phase, so that you're not selling all the time if you don't want to, as long as you're selling in there. And then you also have times of rest in the business. So as you're building foundations, you can do your focuses every 8 weeks and also match it with your marketing every 8 weeks as well. Does that make sense to you, Louise? Yeah. The best part about this as well is that we then get to do things that kind of excite us along the way and also build momentum. It starts to flow all the way through. Matches all of the foundation building. All right. So thinking about it with all your calendars, I want you to have a think about some of the milestones throughout the year in your 8-week cycles and how to match this in life and business. So as an example, in April this year, I want to be on a podcast roadshow. So part of my cycle is that I need to prepare for a week that I am podcasting around Australia. So the cycle before that, I need to make sure I'm preparing my focus around trust building with my audience and who I need to speak to get ready for my podcast. In November, Black Friday, if you leverage Black Friday, would be something to focus on for those that do use it as part of your marketing or your sales. So what do you need to do in September, October to prepare your cycles ready for Black Friday in November and December? Louise, depending on when you're going in Norway, potentially you need to plan your 8-week cycle before to match the time you're going to have off during that time. So potentially that 8-week cycle is all about lead generation for you to prepare your pipeline so that when you're out for some of that time, you're not coming back to no clients in your practice. Yeah, it's forward planning on throughout the year. Okay. Now, this is something that I only started to do probably at the end of my agency when I had this. And it was one of the things that really skyrocketed some of the business. So I found that I was matching all of my events throughout the year and I mapped them. And it meant that I could match my marketing each time as well, match my foundations each time along the way. So if we're in December now, what does the next 8 weeks look like as a starting point for you? What is it that we need to do for the first 6 weeks to get really focused and execute so that at the last 2 weeks of February, we can rest ready for the next cycle? Where are your holidays? Where are your school holidays for school-age kids? Where are they birthdays? When do you want to have complete time off and rest? And when do you also find that your cycle's got to be matching your personal cycle? What's coming up in the year? Okay. And then the idea is to build rhythm, that we just do things every single 8 weeks. Yeah. When we get into our marketing as well, once that comes in, this is going to become so relevant. It's almost like having a mini launch every 8 weeks, but it's just turning and turning and turning, and it's almost boring, which is kind of exciting. Boring, exciting. What questions do we have about momentum?
I was just going to say boring's good because then it means you get to focus on something else, right? Like,
Right? You get to actually do the fun things in your business.
yeah.
Yeah. Now, something that might be helpful is I started to re-go through my foundation. So my focus for Jan is that I've got Fiona to clean out my ChatGPT to reset it. So over the next couple of weeks, I'm going through all of my own personal knowledge base as well, which are in school. And I'm going through my offers, I'm going through my story bank, and I'm really being intentional of, as much as it bores me with some of it, going through and doing it properly, because once it's set up properly and it's in our chat GPT, the next phase is that marketing rhythm will just happen. So now anytime I paste in a transcript from a podcast, it's producing content that I've never written so good before. It's like, it sounds just like me, like I've written it for Mamma Mia. And you can do it every single time. So now when we do our marketing days, you'll have exactly what you need to do to be able to do that for every season that you're in as well. Pretty cool. I'll run a masterclass actually in a couple of weeks with your marketing drops and your chat to help you install it. And every month we might do something called a Get Shit Done Day, where we'll do a couple of hours on a call and we'll actually do the marketing for the month as much as we can in that session. Yeah, I'm excited. Sometimes we forget too. All right, the non-negotiables in your calendar is your last phase. So if it's not in your calendar, it's not important to you. So this resistance, Louise, that you're feeling, I want you to think about it and take it like this. If it's not in there, it's not important. If you don't achieve it, it clearly wasn't important. Yeah. So we need to use it from that side of things on. It's not that we're trying to box you in. We want to hyper focus on what's important to you and build flexibility as much as we like, but also make sure that if we don't know about it, we don't know what to do with it. And then we'll get to December and go, oh, do you remember when we put in there we were going to do a half marathon? Oh, we forgot. That was in September. Right? I know that was yours, Brooke. That's okay. Louise is not going to finish it. Forget that she's traveling.
Yeah, I won't forget I'm traveling. What if like something will crop up during the year and
Yeah.
that just because that would for me then it'd be like, okay, now I'm blocking this out to do something specific if I had nothing else planned in there anyway.
It's always a choice to replace. And I guess the choice is going to be, is that thing that props up significantly going to get me to that identity that I've always wanted? Or is it going to take away from it?
Yeah.
So for me, for example, I have an opportunity to do a trip to Greece in October, which is amazing. It's my mum's 60th. And I'm pondering at the moment on going for mum's 60th because family, relationships, connection versus the milestone of other parts that I'm wanting to bring in for the year. And I need to think about the version of me that I want to be that continues to grow and move forward, and whether or not that particular opportunity to be in Greece, because that's a significant one, is going to elevate me still to that person and keep me on exactly what I'm working towards, or is it going to take away and I'm actually going to not meet the bench that I wanted to achieve for next year?
Yeah, I wondered about that. Yeah.
I work in travel as a day job. So many opportunities come up for things. If I go and I've got a free trip at the moment that I potentially can go to Egypt. Hard life. However, Me pulling out $5,000 to fly myself over to Egypt, even though I got the free trip, I still have to fly there, versus $5,000 I want to put in my podcast roadshow. I will soak up my soul in Egypt, but is it going to add to the identity that I want that my podcast will? Does it make sense? So you get to choose. If at the moment Egypt does elevate me because maybe there's some kind of spiritual experience that's going to take me further and that aligns to what I'm working towards, and I can still do the podcast at a later time, then awesome. But if it takes it away completely and I find that I'm going to fall short next year because I don't meet those smaller anchors throughout the year to get to that, then yeah, that's where you get the choice to decide. Okay. If it also breaks your body, it breaks the system. Okay. Um, Postpartum, perimenopause, menopause, anyone with children at the moment. There's so many people in our community with kids. Sleep, overstretching ourselves, and breaking the body is going to break the system. It will break your relationships. It will break the business. It will break everything at home. So that's why capacity is really important to revisit when we're doing this, right? Because we want to make sure we build in those systems to support us. And we are always going to run better when we are healthy and we are well and we are well rested and we are well fed. White spaces are also really good. When we're in boredom, we are more creative. We are able to see beauty. I find I write my best work in the bath, right? Some of my best posts that get 20,000 views, I write in the bath randomly because I must be really deep and in it. Bali was creative for me because there was so many white spaces and white noise. So in your calendar, this is what's important to you, Louise. This flexibility space. You don't want to feel every single day like it's blocked in. You want white space in there because it's purposely built that way to be spacious. And we want to do in order of life, delivery, and marketing last. Now, this is something that I even do incorrectly in order sometimes, and I have to check myself that I just show up and market because I think that's the easiest thing to do because I'm so good at it. Because I had an agency, I'll just pop more posts out there. That's right. However, I need to take myself for a walk. I need to go to Pilates. I need to go and drink water and have lunch, get some white noise, space, do our master classes and coach, and then market third. Okay. All right. Now, there are a couple of ways we can guarantee that this happens next year. Now, you guys are already in our community, which is amazing. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what's coming up next year so that you know exactly where to go with some of our content as well and some of our masterclasses. So we've just popped in our 5-stack custom GPTs, which I'm very excited about. And our first phase of Simplified Success Engine is already loaded in. Okay, so that's our foundation module. So what I would love for everybody to do is jump in and start to relook at their business and pull it all the way back. And that is your first month. We're going to jump on some monthly calls and we're going to get some shit done. If you would love some reviews on your marketing, on your offers, on maybe even some of your workbooks, let me know, pop them in school so that I can see for you. And I might share mine as well. One of the most impactful ones that will help your custom GPT is your story bank and your evidence bank. So really take the time to do those. What I found was a lot of people were saying that they don't have a lot of client transformations and evidence from clients to be able to pop them in the evidence. You can draw from all sorts of spaces to show evidence in what you do. So as an example, I can still draw from my sales in my day job because I've sold over 2.5 million in sales this year. Yes, it's travel, not coaching, still selling. It's a product. You can also do the same in some of your feedback for other spaces. Okay. ChatGPT, Fiona has also set up a custom chat to help you fill in your workbooks. So in the custom ChatGPT stack, there is one called Zero, where it will help you actually do some of your workbooks for you as well and answer the questions so that you can then load that into some of the other ones. We will pop all of our masterclasses in the calendar so that you can see them. There's one for custom GPTs, there's one for marketing drop, which we're going to release shortly. And then every single month we'll have something called a Get Shit Done call, where we'll actually implement on the call the things that we need to move the needle forward. So everything foundational, get some feedback on the call. If you need to write some captions, if you need to create some content and you really need to hone in some of the messaging, they're the ones to definitely jump onto, because I find that when we're with a community and we get moving, it's almost like a co-working space for us, and answer any questions along the way to get things moving and moving forward. Cool. Next year, I'm excited about what this looks like for Simplified Scale. I would love your support to get as much of our community in there as possible, because I'm so incredibly excited about what this looks like. And then if you're wanting to get that extra support and take that next level, I am also opening up January some one-on-one time as well. So if that's something that you would love to do, definitely let me know. Because next year is going to be lit as possible, because we are becoming those people we absolutely want to be. And I'm excited to bring you on the journey as well along the way. I am going to keep this recording in school. So for those that didn't get to see, they get to rewatch this. And any questions, I would love to help support you with. I know, Louise, you had a question about business brand versus personal brand.